Okay. Um, the eye. So the eye and vision. Okay, so I know this will sound really strange to you guys, but the eye is not actually the thing you actually see with. Okay. The purpose of the eye really is to focus the image on the retina. Okay. So light enters the eye and the lens focuses the light on the retina. That's the job of the eye. Okay. Photoreceptors of the retina transduce the light energy, okay, the photons from light into an electrical signal, and then your brain actually reads the signal. Okay. All right. So this all stuff that you should be able to read for yourself. That's from anatomy anyway. As is this. Okay, as this. Right. So you guys are responsible for all that, but okay. Okay, so what I want to focus on really is the neural pathways and stuff like that. So the neural pathways process the electrical signal into visual images. Okay, you have a blind spot in a physiology lab. You'll learn where your blind spot is, where the neurons actually join the optic nerve. The optic nerve process over in the optic chiasm, and hopefully you guys will understand why that's important. The neurons will synapse in the nucleus and the thalamus, and then the optic tracts actually end at the occipital lobe. Okay, look, then pupillary reflex. No for this class. Okay, so pathways for vision, processing. Okay. So all these are terms you have to understand. Okay, so focal point is the point at which the light rays converge. Okay, the retina is where your focal point should be. Okay, focal length is the distance from the center of length to the focal point. Your focal length is actually about 20 feet away. That's where you should be actually looking at images. Okay. When light enters the eye, is reflected by the cornea and lens. The lens is modified to the focal point line of the retina by ciliary muscle scope. So the point of the lens is to get the image to focus in and change the focal point so it actually lands the retina no matter where you're looking at. Okay, that process by where you're changing the lens is called combination. Okay, so myopia or short-sightedness, nearsightedness is the focal point where it falls in front of the retina. Farsightedness or hyperopia is the focal point falls behind the retina. Okay, as you get older, okay, presbyopia is the loss of combination. The lens hardens, and it's harder and harder to accommodate, and therefore it's harder and harder. That's where you need bifocals or reading glasses and stuff like that to help with the bifocus. Okay, so astigmatism is when distorted images usually caused by misshapen cornea, and you can tell astigmatism where the light, so the light ends up being brighter at certain lines and darker at other lines. Okay. Okay. So lenses, like concave lens and convex lens, it changes the focal point, and the whole point is to put the focal point, okay, where the eye is, where the retina is. Okay. So here's lens. So again, the lens allows you to change the shape of the retina. The muscles of the lens allow you to change the shape of the lens, so the image falls on the back of the retina. Okay, and that's all controlled the ciliary muscles here. Okay, hyperopia, myopia. Figure that one out. Okay. Okay. Uh, light transduction, light energy is part of the EM spectrum. So you turn the photo transduction, you turn light, okay? Light hits the retina, you turn that light image, so you can only read this much of the EM spectrum, okay? And it hits the back of the retina and it changes that light signal into into electrical signaling. Okay. Here you have the macula and the fovea centralis. The fovea centralis is the very center, and it only has rods. Okay, and there's less stuff around it. So the most focused light is here in the fovea. Okay. Okay. The rods and cones here, the rods are going to be for black and white vision. The cones are going to be for color vision. Okay, so the most accurate is going to be here. It's going to be all cones, so perfect color vision, and less image scattering. So the most accurate light comes into the fovea. Okay, here, once light hits the back, the signal has to come back forward a little bit. So it has to come through these cells here. Okay, these cells are where these rods are where the pigments, the vision is actually converted to a chemical signal, and then you go through the bipolar cells, which then connect to the ganglion. So the way rods and cones work are slightly different. So you have rods connected to bipolar cells, okay, but there's multiple rods connecting to a single bipolar cell. So if light hits any of these three rods, for example, you will perceive it as the same thing. Okay, cones, when you look at them, one cone per bipolar cell. So it is harder to trigger because there's only one cell that triggers it, but it's more accurate. Okay, so the vision is better with cones. It's just you need more light to see it.